Hello, friends, and welcome. Happy Wednesday to you. Welcome to today's live level up conversation. Wherever you're joining me from, thank you so much for making the time. Let's get started.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Award-winning financial pro. Get ready. Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello, friends. I'm Winnie, your host and award-winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member and contributor. And I am grateful to be sharing today with you. In fact, we're now down to the last 2 weeks of December. Can you believe it? If you didn't know already, Christmas is next week. Time is flying, certainly. And we're streaming here live on half a dozen different platforms. So definitely jump in, say hello, introduce yourself. Don't be shy. Let me know how your day's going, how your week's going. It's great to be here with you. Now, those of you, though, who have been watching the financial markets, so you might be like, I don't want to talk about it. I know it's one of those days. Well, unfortunately, the Dow is down 971 points currently. NASDAQ is down 620. S&P 500 is down 150. A very, very rough day. And in fact, just a little bit ago, I was on the phone doing some business, and the market wasn't down quite as low as it is now. So things aren't going the greatest of directions. We only got 10 minutes left for the financial markets. So I think it's pretty safe to say that it's going to end up being a down day. But speaking of down days, there's always a positive, and one of the positives, of course, is that we see Joshua joining us on YouTube Live. Joshua, thank you so much for making the time, CrossX Spider, and wow, so many of you in all the different platforms. Let's jump in. One of the big things that we're watching and been listening to, of course, is the Fed announcement, and this is, of course, shaking up the market. The Federal Reserve, this is being shared on CNBC, of course. Federal Reserve has lowered rates to 4.25 to 4.5%. They have done a 25 basis point cut. Now, of course, this is going to cut the overnight borrowing rate, returning to the level of December of 2022. Now, you might think that's a good thing, but according to the Fed stop plot, only two more cuts are anticipated for 2025, which reduces earlier projections of significant rate cuts. So, despite these rate cuts, economic indicators such as the GDP growth, which has a revision of 2.5% in 2024, and low unemployment at 4.2%, do continue to reflect strong performance. But people were expecting a bigger cut. So we know that core inflation estimates rose from 2.4 to 2.8%. So inflation is still, it's gotten a lot better. That's the positive, but it's still not exactly where we want it to be. So Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is saying that he's going to continue to be cautious, be careful, and he's emphasizing a less restrictive policy stance while being very careful about considering economic risks. Obviously, they don't want to make too dramatic a change or too dramatic a cut. They don't want to risk the growth that we've had so far and the developments that we've had so far. So the long-term neutral rate forecast edged up to 3%, signaling the Fed's balancing act sort of between inflation control and the most important thing, economic growth, right? So that's what we're seeing. That's sort of the understanding. And of course, we'll continue to update you. We'll continue to see how the market does next week. But as you know, we've had a very difficult week already in the financial market. So today's announcement didn't really help things. And that's why you're seeing the market just being punished today. And so I would say this, if you're an investor out there, today is one of those days I would suggest that you not look at your portfolio. Just let it be, as long as you're properly diversified, your financials, your profile hasn't changed much. And this might be one of those days where you just let it be. But that being said, if you're not comfortable with your portfolio, seek out some financial advice to make sure you get back to the state of things. Now, speaking of change, I want to share with you a story that came out of New York Times today, shared by Raymond Zong. I thought this was pretty cool. Talking about fusion energy. Now, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know too much about fusion energy, but Commonwealth Fusion Systems, which is a spinoff from MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology on the East Coast plans to build its first ever commercial fusion power plant in Virginia by the early 2030s. Now, why this is cool is because they're targeting zero emission electricity. Now, for those of you who are like me who don't know what fusion power does, well, fusion power mimics the sun's natural energy production, offering, they're saying, abundant and clean energy, clean electricity without carbon emissions or large scale nuclear risks as well. This seems like a great thing, right? However, making it commercially viable has always been sort of the major challenge. But the company is saying that they're going to first be constructing a pilot reactor in Massachusetts, which is slated to demonstrate the feasibility of this by 2027. Now, this is going to occur in Chesterfield County in Virginia. They're going to be leasing land from Dominion Energy. And although there's no agreements yet to buy electricity, that's been made, the site does mark a really big step towards sort of that customer collaboration and planning. So that's kind of exciting. Now, the 400 megawatt plant could power, they're saying, about 150,000 homes, serving industrial clients and even rising electricity demand driven by data centers, that this could help with that and even our electric vehicles. And they're saying that in Virginia, they've seen a lot of rising in demand with data centers there accounting for about 25% of electricity consumption just last year alone. And they're saying there needs to be more innovative energy sources. And so startups such as Helion Energy also plan to launch fusion plants by the late 2020s. And so this is kind of, I think this is really cool. So its design is going to be using this thing they call a tokamak, which is a donut shaped device that it's just all new technology. So we'll continue to update you on this because I think this is going in the right direction. I mean, clean energy, alternative ways, and kudos to the team at MIT and all the other young people and next generation looking for ways to help planet Earth. All right, let's continue on though, because I do want to talk about now nuclear power. Now, this is being shared on Reuters. A company called Oklo Inc. is a nuclear energy startup backed by the one and only Sam Altman. They've announced a non-binding deal to supply power to Switch, which is a Las Vegas-based data center operator. So you can see the trend here with artificial intelligence, with all supercomputing. There just needs to be so much more energy to power these sort of tools that we're using more and more in data centers for sure, right? So this agreement will include plans to develop Aurora powerhouse reactors with a total capacity of 12 gigawatts by the year 2044. Now, each reactor, they say, will produce about 15 megawatts of electricity. So there's definitely growing demand for all types of clean energy and nuclear energy included, but they're saying nuclear energy's reliability and near zero carbon emissions make it kind of a unique solution. And they said this might help meet the AI and tech company needs for that increasing of US energy needs here. Now, many tech giants here in the US, including Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, are also turning to nuclear energy in order to power their data centers sustainably as well. So, two different ways that we might be able to have more things powered. I think that'll be interesting to see. We'll continue to follow that story, of course. And I'm always curious to see how you feel about that. Do you like fusion better? Do you like nuclear? Are there concerns that you might have? Do you feel comfortable? Would you feel comfortable having it in your backyard? And most importantly, what's important to you for clean energy? What are some things that you think are really important that make sense for us to power so that next level technology? Now, speaking of next level technology, there's two companies that really want to make a big change in the way that we drive around town for sure. So, two companies that you've heard of. This is being shared on CNBC by Sam Meredith, talking about a huge potential merger here. Nissan and Honda are reportedly in talks for a potential merger to strengthen their position in the electric vehicle market in specific. Now, if this is successful, this could form actually the third largest auto group globally, selling 8 million vehicles annually. The merger is seen as a strategic move to compete with leading EV manufacturers such as Tesla and BYD, which is based in China. There's a lot of continuous market pressure just to be able to sustain and to continue to get the sales in. Now, we know that Mitsubishi Motors um, holds about a 24 for Mitsubishi Motors is something that Nissan currently holds about a 24% stake in. Now, they might also be included as part of this deal, which could further expand the alliance's scope. So you've heard of like airline alliances. Now we're talking about automobile manufacturing alliances. Now, analysts are saying that both of these companies do have hurdles, of course, such as political scrutiny in Japan and potential job cuts as well. And how are they going to unwind Nissan's complex partnership with Renault? That's another big question. But experts are, of course, questioning whether the merger might be too late to address some of the gaps in technology and to be able to position them strongly in different markets, especially here in the United States. But Nissan shares, has made some movement and somewhat. So, but most importantly, the merger will reflect sort of a broader industry transformation. And of course, we know that automakers are under a lot of pressure to continue to innovate, to be able to keep on being competitive with many lower cost competitors from other parts of the world. So we'll continue to see how that unfolds itself. Details still remain unclear about how this potential merger could take place and any technology gaps and international partnerships and even government oversight. So that is a story we'll wait to hear. But I'm curious for those of you, have you owned a Honda and have you owned a Nissan? And how do you feel about this merger? I feel like that seems like it could be a really great thing. So I do know they both um, produce very popular vehicles. I mean, Honda, we know are very, very popular. So we'll see how that goes. If you have any comments and questions, definitely drop them in here and direct messages if you want to, but put them in the comments below so we can see what you have to say. All right, there's a new article that I want to talk about, which is from being shared on Quartz. Now, many of you know early on during the pandemic, a lot of people were forced to work from home and go to school at home. And so many of us got, at first it was, of course, shock. And then many of us, we started to realize some of the benefits of working from home and still be able to produce income and work for our companies and whatnot. And so then there became a trend of working from home. Then it became much more hybrid. And now we see more and more companies pushing employees back into the chairs, into the back to the offices. In fact, AT&T is doing just that. Now, AT&T has announced that all their office employees must now work back on site 5 days a week starting in January. No more are there the hybrid schedule of 3 days in office that has now come to a close. Now, this isn't unique. There are many other companies that have done this. Amazon, for example, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, and a lot of financial industries have gone back to full 5 days. But now AT&T is also rolling back their flexible work arrangements. Now, AT&T is saying that in-person work fosters better collaborations. And I think for those of you who work from home or do hybrid, I think we can agree, right? There are certain things that are better done when you're in the same space. And they're saying when you're in the same space, that also improves customer support. And many other companies have also felt this as well, enforcing similar policies. Now, Amazons and other firms, of course, have faced a lot of employee backlash, really unhappy, resisting sort of that stricter office mandate, and of course, concerns about loss flexibility and work life balance as well. But nonetheless, some policy like Amazon's are stricter than pre pandemic norms, even. Companies are really looking to restore full traditional office environments. And who knows, maybe with the change of political environment that could change and shift even more so. But they're saying expensive commercial leases are a driving force for this return to office push, as they as businesses really need to justify their real estate investments as well. So there are companies such as Google's leader, Eric Schmidt, initially had blamed remote work for slowed innovation, and even saying that um, a lot of things just didn't occur because we weren't in one place. So curious to see how you feel about that. Do you work from home? And if you don't, or if you do, what are your thoughts about that? Do you like the work from home? Do you feel like you're as productive in the workplace, right? Because obviously businesses want to know productivity in the workplace. They're not so concerned about you being able to do your laundry or starting your meal planning at home. They want to make sure, are you able to do as much work? And definitely put in comments. I'm curious to see how you feel about that. I know it's something that with our team that we enjoy. We definitely think it's a great thing, but yes, there's absolutely many examples where there are benefits from being at the same place. Now, speaking of this, I wanted to share with you another thing that I think was really cool and you'll probably want to know about. And this is being shared on USA Today. There is a new tool coming out by CFPB, which is going to target credit card tactics. Now, end of the year, especially, you'll see a lot of credit card deals coming out, new sign on bonuses, new features. If you sign up for this credit card, you'll get this and that and that. Well, credit card companies we know face a lot of scrutiny for what they call deceptive practices. Now, I think that if you're going to open up a new credit card, it's really important that you do your due diligence and make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, that you're comfortable with the terms and the pricing and everything, and making sure that the rewards are not only valuable to you today, but also in the future. But the CFPB is saying that, some of these credit card companies, they offer you all these benefits, but then they devalue their rewards. They cancel some of your earned benefits and even use unclear language to limit your redemption options. So the CFPB is launching this comparison tool to provide transparent data on over 500 different credit cards, which will help you to make informed choices based on things like fees and interest rates and even your credit card rewards. Now, many retail credit cards charge exceptionally high APRs. This is like if you go to a company directly. Like, let's say, for example, you go to Target or you go to the Gap or something, and then they introduce you to a credit card. Now, I'm not saying that for sure their cards have high interest rates, but I'm just saying that many retail credit cards do have exceptionally high APRs, with 90% of them actually exceeding 30%. So that's a big deal compared to 38% for general purpose cars is still really high. Private label cars are often situations where they lock users into that same high rate, regardless of your credit worthiness. So the CFPB wants to do something about it. They've had a study that reveals that 25 of the largest credit card issuers actually charge interest rates 8 to 10% higher than smaller institutions, which then costs cardholders between $400 to $500 more annually on average. So this is a big deal. So this is a new tool. Definitely check it out. Let me know what you think about it. But I think anytime we can make complicated things more transparent, especially things that cost us money, cost our bottom line, is a good thing. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out the next time I'm in the market for a new credit card. I'm definitely going to use that comparison tool to make sure that I understand what it is that I'm signing up for and to see if there's any other things that you know, I may have just discounted it or not paying enough attention to as well. And I also think it's a great tool to be using to compare the current credit cards that you have to see if they still deserve a place in your wallet or, on your desk. Because nowadays, this time of the year is also a great time to reevaluate and think about if you want to do a product change or no annual fee card, or if you're going to cancel that card completely. That could be viable as well. Now, speaking of changes and getting rid of excess costs, we got to talk about what the FTC is also doing. Now, this is being shared on CNN by Samantha here, talking about another transparency mandate. The FTC has a new rule which bans hidden fees in hotel bookings, live event tickets, yeah, even your concert tickets and short-term rentals like Airbnbs, which will be requiring businesses to display total prices up front, no hidden fees. Now, this new rule, they're hoping to save Americans billions of dollars, and up to 53 million hours annually just by eliminating time spent having to search for the full cost. That makes perfect sense. Don't you like that? I mean, if you're going to be going to a hotel, if you're going to be buying concert tickets, you want to know what the whole bottom line out the door price is, right? It's no different than if you're going to go purchase a home or a car. You want to know exactly how that's going to hit your wallet. Now, this rule was passed with bipartisan support, so this is good. Now, of course, incoming FTC chair Andrew Ferguson, we're not sure if that's going to change anything, but currently the FTC can now impose financial penalties on companies who fail to comply with their upfront pricing policies. So companies such as Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster, said that this was a good thing. They actually believe that this aligns with their existing all-in pricing practices. And, this is part of that broader initiative by the Biden administration to combat hidden fees across industries, including, companies such as Volnage, like phone services as well. Now, although this has been passed with bipartisan support, the rule may face challenges. And so we'll see if it continues under the new administration, especially if business groups contest it in court. But nonetheless, that's where it is currently. And let me just say, I like it. I like anytime the transparency and we know exactly what we're paying. That's how we can plan for things and make better informed financial decisions. Now, speaking of financial decisions, this is a big one. Now, those of you who perhaps are in Social Security nearing age, or you have parents or grandparents in this age, this is something you want to pay attention to because there's been some changes in the full retirement age. Now, for individuals who were born in 1960 or later, that could be you, that is me. The full retirement age has now been bumped up to 67. That means we're going to have to work a little longer. Now, no big surprise, I think, for many of us on that front, especially on the financial industry. We sort of expected that. But now starting benefits at age 62 reduces payments to 70% of the full benefit, which is kind of disappointing, right? If you've been saving up to Social Security all these years and you retire at 62 while you're only getting 70%, not so great. And in order to get the full amount of the full amount, well, you're gonna have to wait. And for that being said, 62 at age 62, you would only get 32.5% for spouses. Now, benefits will gradually increase for each month that you delay until you reach your full retirement age of 67. But by waiting to age 67, it'll ensure you receiving 100% of your full retirement benefits. Hopefully, this change means that everybody who paid into the Social Security will actually get their benefit. I don't know about our kids and our grandkids, but this is what we know so far. Now, for spouses, this equates to 50% of the wage earner's full benefit. And benefits increase each month between the ages of 62 to 67. So, yeah. So if you're close to Social Security, you're about to take Social Security, well, that's some information for you for those who are, born 1960 and beyond. So with that, thank you so much, my friends, for being a part of the show. The market has closed. Currently, well, the market closed down 1,123 points on the Dow. That's a big ouch. Nasdaq down 716 points. S&P 500 down 178 points. So it's been a rough day in the financial markets. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. But nonetheless, I so appreciate you being here and staying with me on this show. And of course, if you have any comments or suggestions, definitely put them in comments. Send me a message. Always appreciate and enjoy hearing from you. And thank you so much for all of you who've been sharing the show and tagging at Winnie Sun. I see it and I appreciate it so much. But most important, thank you so much for being here. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Be well and take care. Bye now.